I'd like to welcome everybody to our Lunch and Learn featuring Dennis the Apprentice Hammond, formerly of Gene Johnson Plumbing. And he's going to talk to us about reputation management. But first, if you can turn your cameras on, especially you, Nick, since you're going to talk to us, we have Nick Stefanik. Who knows Nick Stefanik? Does anybody know? Are you that infamous?
Yeah. Todd, are you recording?
I'm trying to turn my camera. Hold on, video.
I believe I'm recording.
Oh,
yeah.
Is that better? Now you can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you, Nick. How you
There
doing?
you
All right, sorry. That's not my painting in the background though, just so you know.
Yeah, so let me tell you guys about Nick Stefanik. Nick is the commercial sales manager at Pacific Plumbing Supply. I believe he's located at the Seattle branch. I've known Nick for a long time. Knew his father. His father was also with Pacific Plumbing, and he was our salesman at Soriano when I was there. So I have a lot of respect for your dad because
Thank you.
he was a good guy. But anyway, Nick is here to talk to us. Oh, I'm gonna let somebody in real quick. Nick's to talk to us for a few minutes, 5 minutes, about Pacific Plumbing and their partnership with PHCC. I do want to say, Nick, before you have anything, before you start, that we really appreciate the partnership that we have with you, especially earlier this year in March. Dennis and I and a number of our members all were a part of the Skills USA plumbing competition down in Lake Stillicum, I think. And I think Mark Hildebrand.
Didn't Mark Hildebrand attend that?
He
Mark
did.
come
He
down
came down and rolled around for a couple hours and got to see what was going on, and saw that we were actually using the materials that you guys donated to us. So that was pretty fantastic.
Yep.
And so we're thankful for that, Nick. But tell us about what you got today.
So just, I don't know, where I guess we're trying to navigate the new world. It's pretty interesting on what's happening just from a commercial standpoint, I think, to a service standpoint, to I believe also all the, transitioning with all these, venture capitalist companies coming into the world too. But as far as our relationship with the PHCC, I think, what has it been? Are we on year, I think, 3 now, Todd, of a little bit better, I think, communication?
Yeah, you're on year 3 now, but you were a member.
Of,
there was like a break in between your previous stint. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a little, but as far as now, I think communication has been a key part of us navigating. I think, Todd and I have another meeting coming up in a couple of weeks. And I think just as we've grown, Pacific, and also working with the PHCC more, I still want to get us even more involved than what we are now. I think it's due to that skills program, that skills event or PHC event you had in March. Mark Hildebrand made a few connections with some customers that we at Pacific weren't doing much business with. So for, on a business side of things, it really was eventful, a very good event for us. Some people just don't know who we are and what we do. I mean, we've been in business for we're on year 76 years in business, still family owned. Wow. We have 10 branches here in Washington, up and down the I-5 corridor. Furthest one north is Marysville. Furthest one south is Lacey, which we actually just moved that branch into a new location. It's probably the nicest branch in the Pacific fleet now. 3 in Alaska and 3 in Montana, or soon to be 3 in Montana. But our divisions go with, we call our heating division the green room, which we have 3 locations, but Seattle will be the main hub for the green room, which is going to be the hydronic and the boilers and things of that nature. And we do have working heaters on hand. So then we also have a commercial division, which I oversee, and I'll be 10 years back at Pacific now, overseeing that division, and our commercial division has grown immensely. So we do anywhere from TI to high rises, hospitals to high schools, you name it, we're in it. So we're going after it, I should say. And then of course we have the residential, and then we have our sewer side. And then of course, the bread and butter, which Pacific was, I guess, grown on, was really the service side. The guy, the Mike's Plumbing, the, Raymarks, the Sorianos, everybody that was doing service in the Seattle area That's kind of how Pacific started. So we're over about 250 employees now. Still trying to, work this, navigate this world where we're all still running thin, need some more people, but it's been good. Business is an interesting place right now. I think we're all kind of at a standstill. We're still moving some numbers in a positive way. And then let's not forget, we all have the electrification of what's going on in King County with the water heaters. So that's been a very interesting, that's just been very interesting. I guess I could say that is the best way to put it. Just trying to navigate the cost of what water heaters are to also not having, gas really approved in some specifications. So I got a line card of stuff that we represent on the plumbing side and also the green room side I could send out to Todd and he can throw out. But yeah, that's pretty much Pacific in a quick, I guess, 1 minute synopsis of what we are and what we're doing. So any questions or anybody have anything to add or ask?
I want to add, okay, before there's any questions, I want to add that Pacific Plumbing is a platinum supply or platinum partner with our association. So for 2025. And so I failed to mention that in the beginning, Nick, and wanted to thank you for that support.
Of course.
But,
yeah.
I heard somebody else trying
valuable.
to. Yeah, great. I heard somebody else trying to chime in. I think I cut you off, whoever you were.
It was me. I was just wanting to thank them for their support with Skills USA. Skills USA is an awesome program. They're actually having plumbing apprentice competitions and down at Clover Park Technical College, and they do it every spring. And the more we get involved as PHCC, the more exposed to plumbing apprentices that we'll find, right? They're not apprentices yet, but these young kids actually are very talented. So thank you for your support on that, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, if there's more that we can do there, I am all for it. We definitely need to get more, the younger generation engaged in our industry. It's critical not only for the installers, but also even as us as wholesalers. I just feel that I wish we could even do more. But if there's other things that you guys are aware of or know of, just please reach out to me. We're definitely in full support of that. So anytime.
Right on.
Awesome.
All right, with no further ado, we'll introduce Dennis the Apprentice Hammond to talk to us about reputation management, which matters so much. Very, very important thing. It's all you, Dennis.
Awesome. Very cool. I'm so glad to see some Mirda. So good to see you guys and you and Martin and Ty. This is awesome. Juliana, I see her a couple times a week, so this is going to be fun. And Kevin, you too, and Kimberly, you as well. I'm glad Kimberly's here because she'll be able to back me up on a couple things. So I'm going to share my screen really quick. Let's see here. And there it is. Look at that. So I made this slide deck. I'm still an apprentice. I'm learning every day how to do this stuff. So reputation rescue, how to respond to negative reviews and complaints. I'm sure you guys have never had this issue before, right? So it's like a constant crazy thing. So we kind of got a method that worked. I trained our service managers how to do it after I did it myself for like 15 years. And so that's what I'll just be sharing with you guys is like where we came from and what we did and how we did it. So kind of an overview, they're part of business basically, right? Like, I'm not going to get away from it no matter how we can do everything perfect. Sometimes that's when we get the complaint, when everything's perfect and we still get a complaint and it's so irritating. So when I came to Gene Johnson Plumbing in 2001, we were time and material. And well, I'll just cover this really quick. We'll talk about small claims court. That's what we're going to talk about. The power of getting away, one key learning that changed everything. We'll talk about key frustration to pride and curiosity. Strategies to ensure we don't get complaints. Complaints must be someone's top priority. the scripts that solve almost all complaints and the happy results. So those are the things we're going to cover. But when I came in 2001, we went to small claims court, and we were time and material, and we had a signed invoice, and we had already done that. We'd done the work. We had our hourly rate and our parts that we used on the job, and we had a signed invoice, and we won every time. When we took someone to small claims court, we won. Kind of. I don't know how many people go to small claims court. Does anybody go to small claims court still? Has anybody been to small claims court?
Mm-mm.
Been there,
We
but
went-
no more.
Yeah. We did go because we needed the money, by the way. Like we needed that invoice paid to make payroll. Like we were tight. I'm sure none of us have ever been there before either. But we were owed the money. We'd done the work. We'd spent the hours and spent the parts, and we got to pay our suppliers, right? Nick's on here wanting us to collect, right? It's all intertwined. We did everything right, and we're gonna go get our money. That was our mode. Partly, a lot of it because we desperately needed it. So I say we kind of won because Kimberly would put all the paperwork together to make sure we had all our stuff square. She had all the invoices and all the supporting documents. We wouldn't go to small claims court unless we had all that. So she would get us really prepared, and we would go with that. And so that whole day is nerve-wracking. Like you're upset the day before getting stuff ready. You might have talked to a couple plumbers to get your story straight. Then that day, you just kind of get the day going, and then you got to go to court, and then you got to sit there and wait and listen to other people's crazy stories. And then you get to tell your story, and the customer's there. You get to see the customer again, and they're still upset. But we're right, they're wrong. We win. We get a judgment. But the whole people that are there are looking at us like you jerks. Like you took advantage of this lady, and like they never felt like we won. You know, we always left with our tail between our legs. And then we're screwed the whole rest of the day and maybe even tomorrow. Like, because it's really upsetting. At least if you care about people and what people think of you and all that. It's very upsetting. So that's kind of how we started. That's how that was my introduction to complaints in the plumbing industry. The way we turned that around is we got away. That's why you hear me, I talk constantly about getting away from your business. You got to get away from your business and get a different perspective. That the thinking that got you into this mess will not get you out of this mess, right? You got to go get some fresh thinking, some fresh perspective, or you're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over and over. And so we needed help. Back then, we weren't part of PHCC. In fact, just to be honest, PHCC was not the most friendly place for flat rate companies like us. So this is going way back, 25 years ago, but we weren't really a part of PHCC. PHCC was still more for time and material, and this new flat rate thing was pretty scary. So we joined Nexstar, a best practice vertical, and that required us to fly away, to leave our business. It was scary to leave our business. We hoped it would be there when we got back, right? We were hoping employees were still there, that the shop didn't burn down. It was actually scary to leave our shop back in the day. And so we had to get away. What's cool is, one of my messages is you don't have to get away so much now. Like actually now I say that the answer is in the room. Like there are people now in PHCC and in our community that have the answers to our problems and can help us out. Information is far more available now, and you don't actually have to fly away. I still suggest getting away, and sometimes flying away is a lot of fun to go away. I still promote, make it special to get away, go to the Connect show or some of these trade shows, get away, get out of the office, get out of town, talk to fresh people and get a fresh perspective. That's super powerful. But one thing cool now is the answer's in the room. And so that's part of my passion is sharing with contractors here locally what I had to fly away and spend thousands of dollars to get the answer to. I'm going to share a bunch of them with you today. So that's part of what is so fun about PHCC nowadays. So we learned a couple things. They kind of said, it's kind of, you know, Christmas comes every year, you know, December 25th, almost always. And that's complaints are too. So here we are complaining that Christmas, well, Christmas always comes, and so do complaints. Like they're actually part of the process. They're part of being in business. And so rather than be so angry about it, if you're going to be in business, you should probably figure out how to deal with them in a professional manner. And so they talked to us about processes to avoid complaints. A lot of complaints, we did things to generate them, to be honest. And still, there's a fair amount of complaints that we kind of do something. We're not perfect, and so we do stuff to mess them up. So we started learning about how to have a process in place so we don't actually create the complaint. And then this is like, I want to make this like the biggest. I want this a 10 by 10 screen. We put them in the budget. That was like a huge key takeaway. They said, since you know budget, since you know complaints are coming, why don't you put it in the budget? And for like, that's the biggest, that is the aha of this whole hour talk. Is not an hour talk, it won't be an hour, but put it in the budget. Is complaint resolution in your budget? When I do a one-man shop exercise for plumbers, they never put complaint resolution in the budget, and neither did we. That's why we went to small claims court, because we needed that money. So they suggested like 1.5%, or I'm not sure what they suggested, but we landed on about 1.5% of revenue. So if you're doing $100,000 a year in revenue, $100,000 a month, that would mean you put away $1,500 in an account for complaint resolution, right? That's what that looks like. So if you're doing $200,000 a month, you got $3,000 in a little account. Now you probably don't have an account made, you know, complaint resolution at Bank of America, but you set that, you know, that's in the budget there, and you've got a budget of 1.5% of revenue allotted to marked to take care of these complaints. And that changes everything. And then a process to handle them quickly. That's super important. Is the last complaint I dealt with that went bad was the last complaint we got before we sold. And what actually happened was our service manager didn't deal with it. And what I found out about it was when I got called into a virtual small claims court, and it could have been solved a long time ago, but we just kept putting it off and avoiding it because it was actually kind of a stupid complaint. It was kind of an unfair, unjust complaint by a neighbor of our customer. And we lost big time, but it's just because we avoided it. And so we created a process to handle them quickly. So a process, here's just a quick brief process. I hope you guys are doing all these things, but actually these things are all really important to avoid complaints. These are some of the things that we made sure we try to do on every single call to avoid those complaints. We did a review of all our reviews, and we buttoned down the top 3 things that people mentioned about why they liked our company is we were clean, on time, and professional. Those are the 3 things. We didn't make those up or want to be that. That's what, when we sat down and figured out what do our customers like about us, the 3 categories were clean, on time, and professional. That's why that was our logo for our motto for so long. And so this on time thing was really important. And when you're late and people are really offended because you made them wait, who likes to wait? I don't like to wait. It's probably one of the most frustrating things in the world. And the thing is, we all have these cell phones. And so there's really absolutely no excuse to be late. And one thing that we discovered was even if we just stayed in touch, we could be 3 hours late to a customer's home. But if we were in touch with them, like we called an hour before our window closed and said, hey, job before is not going so well. We're going to be a couple hours. Is that okay with you if we're a little late, or should we reschedule? And they say, oh no, you can come in 2 more, you can be late. And as long as we stayed in touch with them and communicated what was going on and gave them the flexibility to say, hey, this isn't going to work, I got to reschedule, or no, I took the day off to take care of this, so no problem. Thanks for keeping in touch. I can go grocery shopping and still come back. They felt like we were on time. So that's one of the craziest things we discovered was we could be late, but if we communicated and empowered them to either reschedule or stay, they really appreciated that. So we focus on those things. We sent a profile of the tech on the way so he wasn't such a stranger. And then we sent along the reviews that he had so they got to see his reputation. So there was already an expectation that he was a good guy and other people liked him. We gave options, not ultimatums, so they don't feel trapped. Like if you're still given one price, take it or leave it, man, that does not feel good. And that's the way it was back in the day. We gave one price and it was an ultimatum: either do this job or pay me my $49. And they'd say, the upsetness would come. It's like, well, I didn't really have, you kind of had me over a barrel. You'd hear this. And we'd say, well, no, you could have paid us $49. We would have left. Come on now. That doesn't feel very good, right? And so options, not ultimatums, really alleviated that feeling of the customer feeling trapped. No matter what they choose, we want to make sure they don't want a cheaper option. So one thing I train to do is, even if they chose our top option, we'd want to clarify, are you sure I've got cheaper options? I'm not pushing you into this. Like, you might choose something nice, but I do have cheaper options. And you see what I'm saying? See what that's doing? It's not force them to buy high, and you're saying, are you sure? Because I can do something cheaper. And what we'd find is people would, maybe the husband comes home or the partner comes home and they might be a little exasperated over the price. But if you did that properly, the customer is going to defend you against the other partner. They're going to say, no, he actually tried to sell me something cheaper, but this is what I wanted. I chose this. And that's really, really powerful position to be in, is when you actually try to downsell, when they chose something higher and you try to downsell them a little bit. They'll actually go to work and defend you because of your honesty there. We always try to do more than we're paid for. That was just something that we like. That feels good to do a little bit more than paid for. I don't mean give them 2 faucets instead of 1, but you can leave the place a little bit cleaner, or there's little things that you guys are plumbers. There's little things you can do for not much that brings a lot of value. And the customer might say, well, you didn't have to do that. Yeah, but I did anyway. It was easy. I was there. Right. And why not? It always feels good to do a little bit more than you're paid for. And again, that takes a little sting out of the complaint if there's a complaint. Here's something we did on the end of every call. And this is another thing that's really powerful. Before I go, is there anything I've done here today you don't understand what I did or why we did it? I want to make sure you're completely satisfied with the work I did here today before I move on to my next customer. On every call. And what that does is that if they're a little, you guys have all heard this. They say, well, for that price, I thought you're going to be out here all day and it's only 11 o'clock. So you just flushed out an issue. See what I'm saying? You flushed that out before you even left the house. And so, but usually they'll say, no, everything's great. And then there again, if someone else comes in and is exasperated, they're like, well, no, he checked. Before he left, he made sure everything was good. And I said it was good. So now, like, to call in and make a complaint is really kind of weird, because we stopped and said, is there any problem here today? And you said no. The customer said no. However, if there was an issue, now you can deal with it, right? You can say, hey, yeah, usually it does take all day, but I had all the parts on the truck and this job just went really smooth. And let me call my manager and see if there's something I can do, right? and you want to deal with that right now. And so that's just another thing that we did to avoid that phone call a couple days later. And then again, that happy call to make sure they're satisfied. Calling that customer after the text left, just doing a quick happy call to make sure everything's good. Those are things that we did. They might seem like, well, typical, you should do those. But if you stop doing those things, if you guys are doing those things and you stop doing them, you'll start getting more complaints. So this is definite insurance towards not getting complaints. So this budget for complaints is like the thing for me. And what that goes to 100% satisfaction, which means, guys, we will give back or do whatever it takes to make them happy, including all their money back. Like, we really do mean 100% satisfaction. And so that's what we went after. So what's cool is now we have a budget. I've got $1,500 budgeted to spend. Let's just round numbers, assume we got $100,000 in revenue. So we're a $3 million company, something like that, 1.2. And now as the person in charge of handling complaints, I've got $1,500 to make everything right this month. So here we go. So we get a complaint. And so now what we're doing is, now the approach is, I'm proud that I have it in the budget to make things right. And I'm also curious who's going to call. Like, this will be interesting, won't it? Like, I've got $1,500 to spend. Of course I don't want to spend it, but I have it if I need it. It's in the budget. It's in our billable hour. So now I approach these calls with much more curiosity than frustration and anger. Does that make sense? Like, it's real easy to get upset about complaints because you feel justified. You need the money. You don't want to give the money back, especially if you don't have it. But when you got it in the bank, now you can approach it. And this is just a little mind trick, but if you approach it with curiosity, it'll make your job a lot easier, because you can let complaints really destroy your day and affect lots of people in the company. So every call is different. So I'm just going to say, these are some things I got into the conversation when I made the phone call. So as soon as we got a complaint, we try to deal with it really quick on the phone. But if it got to me, these are a few things that I'm going to get. These are going to be said while I talk to this customer. Some customers call in and they're just a little timid and they're like, well, it just seemed like the price was too high. Some people call really angry and pissed off, and they're just all over you as soon as you pick up the phone and say, this is the manager, and they just jump all over you, right? Everybody's different. So I'm not telling you exactly where to do all this, but sometimes I would just start the call and say, just to be clear, my goal is to end this conversation today with a resolution we can both live with. Does that make sense? Now, sometimes I would have to interject. I go, hold, just a second. If they were really amped up and on me, I'd say, hold on. I got to say something. I got to say something. And I'd dig in there. And early on, if they came at me really aggressive, you got to match their energy. So like, if they're gentle, you can be gentle back. But if they're really aggressive and all over you, I would be aggressive back and say, hey, before we go any further, time out. I want you to know that if my goal at the end of this call is that we're both happy, and we're going to figure this out. Does that make sense? And almost always they'll be like, oh, okay. And then I'd say, so I want to hear your story. And then I would get in this somewhere like this. Before we get started, was the tech okay? And oh no, the tech was great. Well, were you on time? Oh no, he was on time. Did he leave the job cleaner than we found it? Oh yeah, he did a great job. Did he give you options before? Oh yeah, he gave me options. Oh good. Then this is just a price complaint. So, right? So what I've done is I've just kind of, I've I've doubled down on the fact that we did everything right. We were clean, we're on time, we're professional, we gave them options, right? So, oh, this is just a money issue, right? Now, if they didn't give options, okay, now we got a process issue. I want to know why we didn't give options. If we didn't leave the job clean, uh-oh, I got a problem. I dropped the ball in my process. But we were so good on our process, I was comfortable clearing that up. Just a second, was my guy on time? Just a second, did he give you options? Right, and I'd really clear that up. And so now I'm going over the fact that we did everything right. This is just a money issue, and I got money to solve. I got money to solve that issue. And when you have money to solve an issue, you don't really have a problem. I heard that once at a seminar. If you've got money to fix the thing, then you don't really have a problem. So, so I'd let them tell their story. I'd let them tell their story. They need to vent. So I'd say, so what, tell me how the call went, what happened. And then they go through and oftentimes they would say, I don't want to get the tech in trouble. He was great. So we hear their story. And so now I don't just say, okay, I'm going to give you money back. Now I push back. And this is kind of where I do some clarification, like clarifying what's going on here. Something like, you aren't just paying for what you saw today in your home. There's a whole staff here answering the phones. It's a trick to get the most qualified tech out to your issue. Like not every plumber does every kind of plumbing, believe it or not. And so we had to match up a guy that was good at your issue and get him there on time and all that. And so there's a lot that goes into that. There's ladies here in the office taking care of that. A lot of coordination. And the work still isn't done, by the way, because if something goes on in the next year, in our company, your top priority, we're going to come right back out and get that fixed. So we actually still aren't quite done with this job yet, because if anything goes wrong with it, we're going to be right back out there. So I push back. And so you have to have your own words, but you want to push back and clarify your value proposition, right? And all they see, I mean, really all they see is the plumber showed up at their house and fixed the problem and left, right? They don't see all the complexity that goes on. These are complicated businesses around it. This is kind of the businessman or tech daddy talked about this, right? I've got all these trucks, I got all these techs, we got all these tools, we got all these equipment and parts. We got insurance and gas. Gas keeps going up and up and up, right? So you do have to push back and open their mind up to, okay, I saw the plumber and the faucet, but you're right, there is a lot else that I'm paying for as well. And then here, we have to come to agreement. So you clarify your value proposition, then you say something like this. But like I said at the beginning of the call, I'm committed to making this right for you. I always said this is one of my favorite things. We pride ourselves in doing things right the first time, and we take even more pride making it right if we don't, right? And so here we are. This is where we're at. So I'd like to take some money off the invoice to help you make things right. What you feel is good for you. So if we've done everything right, it's just a money issue, right? That's all it is. So I've pushed back and showed that, wait a second, this is worth a lot more than you think. Look at all the work that I put into it. And so I'm pushing back. I'm not going to give you all the money back. Like, I'm standing up for myself. I'm not a pushover. I'm nice, but I'm not a pushover. And if they're aggressive, I'm going to talk. My language is, my tone of voice will be aggressive back. So you do have to match them. But usually they'll start to calm down when they can't believe, guys, they can't believe they got the manager on the phone. Like, they thought there was going to be like fighting, trying to get money back from some of the, like, some of these, a lot of people, you can't get someone on the phone, right? All these big companies, it's all virtual. So they actually got the owner or the manager on the phone. So usually they'll calm down. But if we've clarified it's just a money issue, wow, let's get some money back. What do you think's good to you? And a lot of times now they're uncomfortable because they came in thinking it was expensive, but now they heard you answer the phone. You're actually professional. You actually are committed to making things right. You open their mind to, there's a lot more to this than just the plumber and the faucet I saw. And so they're kind of, I don't know. And so, guys, I was shocked how often $200 made everything go away. I don't know why that number, it's $200 bills. And So now you can't do that on a $300 invoice, right? So you got to figure this out for yourself. But if we've got $1,000, $1,200, $1,500, $3,000, $6,000 job, I would start out with $200. Like, hey, I understand what happened. Sometimes I'd say, hey, we count on this being average. You had one of my best techs out there. Everything went super well. Most of my guys take twice as long as this, so I'd like to make it right with you. You know, we made good money on this job, and so what if I put $200 in the mail? Guys, almost always that fixed the problem. $200. I really don't know why, but it's substantial, right? You can do a lot with $200, and so I can handle 7 complaints like that in a month and still be under budget. So it's easy. Now, of course, I don't want to give any of this money back, right? So Kimberly's over there going, don't give our money back, right? But this is the job. It's in the budget. And so now if they're also, guys, if this isn't a money issue, if it's a quality issue, if we weren't on time and didn't call and let them know, thank you for letting me know. I needed to know that we were late to that call. That's not what we do. Thank you for letting me know that we were on time, right? And now I got to work on my process. And so this is where complaints are actually a gift. Guys, how many people don't complain? They just disappear and go somewhere else. In fact, don't all of us disappear on people, on restaurants and stuff? We have one bad meal and we just quit going there. We don't really register a complaint or call call the manager and tell them that the service sucked. We just disappear. So the fact that you've got someone calling you to call you on your stuff, they think it's kind of a blessing, right? And so to have some money in the bank to actually take the call and approach it with curiosity is a total blessing. And if we left the place dirtier than we found it, or if we left stuff there, we left garbage in the yard, or we didn't pack down the sod like we said we would, don't you want to know that stuff? And then we got a process issue. And so that's why in step number 2, we got to clarify, is it a process issue? Which, thank you for calling and let me know. Thank you for the feedback. Or is it just a money issue? Let's figure this out. I've got money in the budget to fix that. This is one of my favorite things. So this is when nothing works. And that will happen no matter what you do. We've all had customers that you just literally can't please. So I've done this maybe 5 times in my life. It's kind of fun when it happens, and I'm usually shaking. I'm so angry when this happens because you try to do everything right and they're just completely obnoxious. And so I've said this about 5 times. I'm going to give you all your money back. I don't want that kind of money. I don't want money in my bank account that's not happy to be there. That, that doesn't feel like it deserves to be there. But you have to promise me one thing, that you never call me again. And they say, deal. And you say, what's your address? Or what's the credit card number? And you just give it all back and just flush it. Flush. Whoosh. And then I got to go tell Kimberly, I just gave them all their money back. But man, it feels so much better than going to small claims court. It's so much better than arguing and arguing and arguing. And this is like, in over 20 years, I only did this like 5 times. But I give you the right, in my opinion, I bless you the right to say this. And it's really fun when you do it. And you're probably pretty upset, but this is rare, but I'm just acknowledging that I'm doing all this training and it's not 100%. It's probably 98% accurate. So the happy results, here's the happy results, guys. This is how we handled the complaints for, it probably took us 7 years to get this going, get it in our budget and start to get a process in place. At one point we had more reviews than anybody in the state except Gold Seal. I want to say the state, but the truth is Gold Seal over there in Spokane, Idaho area, man, they killed it. So we never passed them. But we had a great reputation. And then profitability, guys, I just checked this with Kimberly. So I gave back And then, so this process, guys, I trained our service managers to do the same thing. So I did this for like 15 years on my own. And then I trained my service managers to do this. This is the process that I trained them on to do. They had little scripts in place and a step by step. And in all that time, giving back whatever the customer wanted, including all of the money back. We never went past a half of 1% of revenue. So that means using this philosophy and making it 100% guarantee and giving back whatever we needed to make things right. We want them to be a happy customer. We want them to call us back. I want every house to be an ATM machine, guys. I want the customer to always to call me and buy from me. I don't know if sometimes when you go to the ATM machine, sometimes you get $20 out, sometimes you get $200 out, sometimes you max out, right? At $600, whatever it is. So I just want the house to be an ATM machine. Whenever I go to that house, I want them to buy something from me. And once in a while, handling a complaint appropriately keeps that ATM machine going, right? And so giving back whatever they wanted, 100% satisfaction using my process. We never gave back more than half of 1%. Now maybe 1 month would be a little bit more, but it would always make up the next month. So that's in $100,000. That's what, $500? I think, is that the right number? So this is a commitment to giving back whatever we have to do to make things right with every single customer. Our end result using this process is less than half of 1%. So less than $500 out of every $100,000. So pretty easy and pretty worth it in my opinion. So some lessons along the way. A few key points we learned the hard way. Involve as few people as possible. So what we used to do is everybody would know that Agnes called and complained about John. And then the plumbers would all give John a hard time, and John would get all pissed off that everybody knew, and then he'd start defending himself, and then the dispatchers would know, and then the whole company is upset about Agnes. And I haven't even talked to Agnes yet, so I don't even know if it's legit or not. Like, Agnes might not be a very fair person. We might have done everything right, and we might have done a lot more than we should have for free because the plumber knew that she was going to be trouble. And now the whole office is getting upset about Agnes, and I haven't even talked to her yet. So we kept it pretty quiet. We learned the hard way to really, I would not even let the plumber know they had a complaint unless, because you know what, at some point, guys, if you got involved in all that stuff, they might as well start their own business. Like, one of the reasons they're starting their own business is so they don't have to handle this stuff. They need to do their job right. But if you're going to involve them in all this stuff, they might as well go do it themselves to some degree. I know that's kind of a strong statement, but it's kind of true. So I want to protect them. I wanted to be the best place to work for. If you come to work for me, you're not leaving, right? For a bad reason. It's got to be a really good reason to leave. Like you're moving out of state or something. And so we had we had a high retention rate. And one of the reasons was I've got money in the budget to handle the complaint. And if it's a complaint about price, that's not the plumber's problem. Unless he did something and only was there for 5 minutes, right? Well, you can't do that. Like you gotta take some time. You can't just, right? Maybe there's some process issues there, but if we've handled our processes properly, we've done a good job. Protect the business. Part of the reason they're working in a company is for you to handle this crap. So we handle it, and I don't want him to be upset going into the next phone call, the next service call, right? Our next service call was $1,700. Our average invoice was $1,700. Do I want to interrupt John and let him know that Agnes is upset and called in and wants some money back? Really? Do I really want him to go to my next $1,700 call with that in his mind? Not unless it's absolutely necessary. So only if absolutely necessary did my plumber ever know there was a complaint. Now, if I got on the call and found out we had a problem with the process, he didn't give options, well, we'll talk about that, right? Then I got to go work on the process. Like, hey, I covered a complaint for you yesterday. Like, she said you only gave one option. What's up with that? Right? And we gotta talk about that. So, but anyway, point number one, involve as few people as possible. Like, deal with that quick. The second, number two, complainants can be helpful. And so like they will let you know that someone's dropping the ball in the process, right? And that's nice. So we really want to approach these complaints with curiosity. Like either my process is bad or, oh, this is one of the people that I knew was going to call me and want some money back. Right? Oh, I know that. So either a customer is calling to help me and give me some feedback to help me make my company better. They could have disappeared into the ether and I would never know that John smoked in the bathroom, right? Or whatever. They could have just disappeared and told all their friends, don't call Gene Johnson Plumbing. So thank goodness they called me to let me know. And or, oh, you're one of the people I knew was going to call this month and want some money back. And by the way, I've got some to give back. So that's number two. And then number three, I just covered it in both of those, is just approach it with curiosity rather than resentment. Before it was like, we did the work, we bought all the parts, the job's done, you signed, give me my money. Now I need it because I didn't know how to be profitable yet. So we needed the money desperately. So it went from resentment to more of a curiosity. So that's it. So thanks for watching. The trades have been good to us. It took us 15 years to really get things figured out and going. To be predictably profitable, that's the key word, predictably profitable. Like we all have good months and bad months, but to always be profitable, it took us about 15 years to figure that out. So, and we came to really enjoy our business and we're proud of it. And it was fun to work in, and Kimberly and I are always thinking back about how good it was. So that's it. So questions, what questions you guys have? I must have missed something.
I got one right off.
Okay.
Do we get a copy? Do we get a copy of these slides?
Absolutely.
Yeah, the meeting will be posted on our blog, so
Yeah.
you can
Oh,
see
good.
it. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, you got some real good gems in there. I appreciate that.
Cool.
Hey,
Thanks,
Dennis,
man.
I have a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
When you were talking about the 1.5% of the budget being for complaint resolution, you first started out mentioning that it was a monthly budget. So I'm curious, if you had to deplete some of that budget, did you replace it monthly or was it yearly?
Well, it was just in the budget, so that just kept me on track about like, see, every time in our business, I had to go back and tell Kimberly I had this little form and it said, this is the issue I called, and this is when they complained. This is when I think we had a little form and it was like, this is the CSRs answering the phone would fill it out, right? And they would say, this is the issue. Agnes, she's upset. It cost too much. We did everything right. She wants a phone call. And so a date. And so I think I had to say when I called back. So right away, if you take 2 or 3 days to call back, it's escalated, right? They've told the horror story to all their friends, and all their friends think that they agree that you charge them too much. It just blows up. So we had a process of getting that as soon as the phone, we want to get on top of that as fast as possible. So it would track that. And then also I'd have to say how much money we're giving back. And so in my mind, if I knew it was 1.5 of, if we did $100,000 a month, in my mind, I could just say, I got $1,500 to give back and not get in trouble with Kimberly, right? Does that make sense? I'm in budget. So, and I don't want to give any of the money back. I just figured out a process to not upset my day, not upset my plumbers, and to satisfy all my customers. And so I tried to always stay within budget. And it just worked out that way. Like, it was always overall, surprisingly, even there were some years where I gave back all the money a couple times. Like, like this last year, this last year that we were in business, that complaint that didn't get dealt with, and it went all of a sudden I was being called to small claims court, a virtual small. I'm like, what is a virtual small claims court? I haven't been to. We don't go to small claims court, but I would. Here we are. Well, we just never handled it. We were avoiding it because it wasn't fair. It was a neighbor complaining about a perfect asphalt repair on someone else, on our customers. They had a shared driveway. And so I ended up resealing that entire driveway that served 5 homes so that it all looked perfect. Like, it was completely unreasonable and it cost a lot of money. It was not fair. It was not our problem. But we're already in small claims court. Like, get me out of here. Like, how many people are upset about this now? For how long? And so I just use that as a gauge. But and what's cool is even though we did that, it was never more than 0.5%. Kimberly's got a question.
I was just raising my hand because when we set our budget, like when we were calculating our budget, our hourly rate, right? How we were going to base our price book, what we were going to base our price book on. So we would take anticipated revenue for the year, like what we were planning based on our trucks and our texts and our calls. And we would just calculate what's 1.5% of that. And I literally built my price. So it was just a line item on the price. And then whenever we'd give money back, we would like specify that was a line item on our P&L. So like we would just tie those two things back together. And so that's what he's referring to.
Yeah. Does that make
Awesome.
sense?
If you took 25 cents from 1,000 jobs to pay for,
Whatever it ended up being.
It was in
yeah.
our price. It was in our
Yeah.
price. So when I do a one-man truck exercise, it's like, is that it? And they go, yeah, that's it. That's all expenses. Well, what about complaint resolution? Oh yeah. Well, are you
Yeah.
going to give back profit? Or are you going to give back money in the budget for complaints? We know they're coming. Like, do you buy Christmas gifts with your savings? Or do you put money aside for Christmas, right? There's two ways to do it. So well, hopefully we're not taking out of our retirement to buy Christmas. We know Christmas is coming. It's December 25th. So we put some money aside to handle Christmas presents, right? Please?
yeah, I love what you said about keeping it as small a circle as possible. I've been at a lot of meetings where everybody in the company knew about this one complaint. And I'm very uncomfortable standing in the back going, I don't want to know about this complaint. I don't know if these guys all want to know about it. So I think that's really brilliant what you're talking about there.
Well, we learned it the hard way, right? But you find out a $500 issue just wrecked 8 guys' attitudes going into a $1,700 possible call. Our average invoice was over $1,700. I want my guys feeling as good as possible going into that call.
Yeah.
And I want them proud to work at a company that they know and they can trust is going to make it right, even if we have to give all the money back. Now, even some of the plumbers were pissed off. They would, if they found out about it, they say, don't give them the money back. I did everything possible to do a great job. Don't give them money back. But thank you. But they knew that I had their back, that I'm still going to make every customer right. And so all my plumbers knew that I was going to take care of every customer no matter what. So they took care of me. They did a really good job knowing that I got this 100% guarantee coming from behind. So they would do a really good job, but imagine how that feels as a plumber to know that your company is going to make it right with every single home they go into.
So you
no matter what the
removed
cost.
that from culture. Like they never even had to worry about it. That downside.
Well,
Well,
and
it created culture.
it was
That's what I'm
also
saying. Yeah, all positive all the time.
it was also specifically like spelled out in our compensation plan that any price complaints, any money we gave back would never affect their paycheck. And like we did not want them to come, like we didn't want to argue with our techs about because in this culture now, it's also online. Everything's online. So you don't want your techs not wanting you to give money back because it affects their paycheck, but you want to give money back because you don't want a negative review, or you want to be able to solve it with complete autonomy. Like you're also protecting your reputation. Your tech might not be here 10 years from now, but your reputation will be. So we just, yeah, like we the complaint did not affect the technician as long as if it was price only and it wasn't like they did a terrible job for workmanship, then obviously we'd have to fix that. That would be a different issue, but yeah, it was completely built in.
Again, if we're gonna take money out of their paycheck, they might as well just go start their own business. That's what's like, again, why are they working for a company? Well, there's some protections there that we've learned how to charge for, right? And so I don't know that we ever charge back for a complaint. I don't think we ever did that.
You can't do that.
No. But you hear horror stories, people doing that all the time, right? Or
Yeah.
trying to. So
Or if you
I just-
adjust the invoice, I mean, whether you're supposed to or not, when you adjust the invoice, it can adjust the revenue, right? If you never collected it, or people do that, right? Like, I mean, it happens, actually. Maybe you're not supposed to, but people do it.
yeah.
Yeah, Dennis, that was pretty fantastic presentation. I think there was a lot of value for everyone here to go back to their own business and put those little nuggets in place. And we also want to thank Nick Stefanik from Pacific Plumbing Supply, platinum partner with our association, for sponsoring the meeting today. Thank you, Nick, for being here. Appreciate everybody. I hope you all have a great day.